Okay.
Yes, so we are still working on this Annapurna pluriversity idea. This is a new contribution that I would like to make to the world. Here we have four L's, but can we see what I have at the bottom of the slide, Fernanda? I thought
Mm,
I had something at the bottom of this slide, the first slide. Did you see anything? Like on the
no.
footnote side.
Well, no, you won't be able to see it if I have it
Oh, is
as
that right?
a.
Okay, then. Okay, I don't have to worry about footnote. Anyway, the idea is to heal and regenerate four L's. Life system, which is supposed to be represented on the visual itself. Then at the bottom is livelihoods, learning, and leadership. So somehow, for about last 20 years, I have always been thinking these four L's are integral, and without regenerating one, you cannot regenerate the other. Because without the life system being regenerated, how could we have a livelihood? Then, based on those life systems and livelihood, then we could design learning systems and leadership systems. So anyway, that's the hope. Next. And here now we have this amazing crisis. On this, Edward and I are probably two people who are very sure that if we want to do anything significant to address the situation the humanity and the biosphere is today, we need to combine the coronaviruses and the climate. And Eduardo, I think I really like your very good conclusion about it. And I am exactly there, and that's my baseline for Annapurna University's curriculum. Look at the feverish earth, wandering and mutating viruses, wildfires, off-season rain, soil carbon losing, biodiversity losing, species extinction. There is no accident that coronavirus would just appear like that. There is a ground for it through the climate disruption. So, in this situation, I am now bringing Otto Schramer, one of our kind of regenerative educator, facilitator. He's saying, what am I not seeing? This combined climate coronavirus disruption is a single phenomenon. What am I not feeling? Why? Why am I not feeling? What has happened? And here the Homo sapien is rather than taking individually, I think we need to look at the Homo sapien as a being itself, which tries to not really do the right diagnosis. It wants to just leave on that whatever its fancy is on the superstructure, including you know our US leader these days. He's basically working on that. And what action grounded in this deep seeing am I not initiating? So I would like to answer these questions as I see it, as I feel it, and I would like to do whatever I can to my capacity. Next. So, given that the climate and the coronavirus's combined disruptions are our reality today, 2020, what model of regeneration could there be? And here I have brought a lot of threads from my anthropological background and pedagogical background and ecology and leadership studies and teaching, counseling, advising. And I have a little bit of practice of what I call Chi Nitsang, that is more coming from the Chinese and the Thai Indonesian tradition of the energy system. And that starts with the umbilical cord, umbilicus. But actually, in our Ayurvedic Indian system, we call it the Agni, the fire. That's what keeps us going. You see, we get the raw material from in through the body, from nature, right? And then goes into this biome. And if you feel it 2 inch below your navel, you will always feel this dum, dum, dum. And in Ayurveda, we also do measure the this part of the nerve that corresponds with what is happening there. How is your Agni, your fire? That's how the Ayurveda doctor will tell you, oh, you are having little imbalance between cold and hot. You are too hot, you are too cold, you are like this. This body itself is one of those amazing things we tend to forget because the Enlightenment tradition thought, oh, it is all in our head. I think the core is in that fire, 2 inches below your umbilical cord. So start with the umbilical cord, then go to the biome and the biofield of this individual that lives in a household that is ecological household, that is economic household, socio-cultural household. That household is within the bioregion, and those bioregions are within the biosphere, and this biosphere is within the galaxies, and people say there are millions of them. So that galaxy is more into the infinity, like, and people are always now saying that even the idea of solar system and galaxies are changing. Next. Another way of visual would be, see the coronavirus, how it is acting on our lungs, the breathing. Basically, the disruption has happened in the body where the oxygen intake and outtake, right? And then it begins to affect, including the biome. Actually, it goes right there, and then it feels like you are constricted on your liver, kidney, mostly the lungs. And now look at on the left side. The same kind of disruption and suffocation has happened to all those levels. Do you see? The biofield, open senses to the world, that is now disrupted. Organism perceive the systemic pattern, floating energy, that is disrupted. And now there might be a relationship. People will figure out that those bodies and individuals who are more and more away, distance from these like a primal biological systems, dependent on technologies or like the machines for regulating, they are the ones suffering the most. Does that make sense? And it is directly related to how the oxygen in the soil is disrupted, water system, which I will talk a little more later. Then the household becomes aware what is arising, unfolding in the household, then the bioregions, then biosphere galaxy. Just another way of connecting what is happening in this body temple and the temple that we are within. So it might help us to recognize that the suffocation and disruption is not only within the human body, it is within that larger mega circle. Next. And here is a woman, this is the most recent photograph that came on the newspaper in Nepal. One of the good news of Nepal, many bad news, too many, is that this is the first year for last 35 years, Nepal became self-reliant on growing these flowers, which are very much used in the festival in 3 days of today. And this whole week is offering flower to goddesses, to the crow, to the dog, to the deities, to the snakes, to the brother, to the sister, everywhere. So this is a celebration of abundance, prosperity, and these flowers represent that. 35 years, Nepal imported flowers from India, whereas it is such an agroecological country, which you will see. This is the first year they are self-reliant on these flowers, and they are now thinking about how to export to somewhere like Qatar or Saudi Arabia or Europe. You know how that is. Kenyan flower business does that, like that. So basically, then we could look at the the combined climate and coronavirus disruption is an epidemic of disconnect at all these levels. Disconnected from vision of regeneration, power of regeneration, disconnected from the consumers, disconnected from producers, health disconnected from soil, land, and inequality, all they are piling up. Next. I am not seeing all of the slide, but the last one, this one I can. So I will give you a little bit of the historical kind of history of this idea of Annapurna University. Just 2 years ago, I visited my birth house in the mountains of Nepal. And you can imagine me, this little boy, reading books, but then looking outside the window on the third floor, the last window on the left. That's where my room was. But what I see is on the left, the Annapurna. And this, among all the other mountain range in the Himalayas, Annapurna has a special significance for us. Anna means grain, Purna means full harvest. So what I thought as a child was, this goddess of fertility, abundance, will always protect me. And now, after 60 years of that, it feels like I need to protect her and all her processes. Do you see the change in pedagogy? Up to that point, she was protecting me. I didn't have to worry about her. She has enough snow. There was very little restriction, suffocation, disruption of our processes now. And there is particularly one pile of snow there, which actually feels like it is the rice. After we harvest rice, all the rice seed, we pile it up like that. And my father was a very precise astrologer. By looking at that pile of snow there, he would say, oh, a big hailstorm is coming, so let's harvest the rice soon, or put it on the side. Like that. Or that the rain will be less, so let's do a irrigation canal more. It was indicative of what the agroecological households were supposed to do. So this is how, all of a sudden, maybe around when I was 5 or 6, this idea came to me. It didn't come to my brothers or anybody in the village, but me. I carry this image. Here is the goddess of fertility. She is my provider. And now let's look at what happened. So this next. With this idea, somehow I became too much a kid who could read too many books. So I went all the way to Stanford University, did my PhD. And this idea of Annapurna and abundance began to be, and I went to India for my research, worked with the tribal people, understood some ideas of the ecology. And I came in 93, I got a MacArthur Fellowship and created this permaculture farm, and all my pedagogies to the people there, teachers, children, adults, peasants, foodies, everybody was in that little gazebo. So I would consider that as an incarnation of the Annapurna University in 1993. And many revolutionary ideas happened in that gazebo, by the way. I was there for 18 months, and whenever I go back, there is a meeting, there are workshops, and many new leaders have been prepared on that gazebo. This is a permaculture farm where my son is living now, and this could be one of the epicenter acupressure, acupuncture point. Next. Now I had in 1999-20, I had opportunity to travel to 6 countries with 28 undergraduates, senior level undergraduates. So we went to Washington, DC and Boston, then to England, then to Tanzania, then to India, then to New Zealand, and in Mexico, then back to Boston. 9 months on a backpack, going, observing, reading, writing. I hope I can do it again. Edward, maybe we should plan a trip. What I saw in these 6 countries is that there was the disruption between economy and ecology. And there is the equity, justice, and there is biocultural diversity. And everything is in between. So I developed a new master's program in Portland State University with this curriculum and graduated about 75 master's students. Next. Then the fourth Annapurna version is in Portland, Oregon. Somehow I went into, through a very interesting assignment I gave it to some of my students, we went to create learning gardens in Portland public schools using my master's student. That guy with the beard is one of them, and he's the school teacher, and these are the children. And that became another what I could learn about learning, what children can do in the garden, not only how to make the garden, and I have many slides later on, but to learn in the garden, with the garden. Do you see? So learning to garden is everybody was teaching. We did the other side, gardening to learn every subject, every topic, every theme. And my team was so successful in designing every day, every week, what happens in the garden, how to relate that to the 4th grade geography, 6th grade chemistry. I will talk more about that later on. But we will bring that into this culminating pluriversity concept. Next. The 5th version of the Annapurna Pluriversity is designing a doctoral program at Prescott College. That's why I'm in Prescott, still in Prescott. And now moving towards the global Annapurna Pluriversity. Now you see some of the formations, preparations, and where I am ready to move into. So this is where I am, my hill, right here, where I am right now. Every cohort, each cohort would come to my house for 2 days, do a whole day cooking, eating, discussing everything, going out, doing yoga, tai chi, whatever. And I have a 10-acre farm where we could actually create this as one of those living learning laboratories right here in Arizona, or I might move to Taos because of the mountains. We'll see what will happen. Next. So let's go back to the brain idea, the body and the biology, that we need to engage the gut brain, the heart brain, and the head brain. And it is my learning philosophy after all this, that the actual thing starts with that umbilicus, then the biome, the gut, then the heart, and I think the head brain is actually a footnote. So let's see where we will go if we use this. Next. So here we could now really revisit the idea of the body. Is it just the bones, right? Measurement of inch, or is it the energy? Flow of microbial and cosmic energy, physical body, energetic body. The same applies to the energetic soil, energetic water, energetic plant. Then comes to the food and nutrition, and soil as the current energy flow, on and on. But these are all related to the currency of life, which we will come to very soon. Next. So I'm also playing a little bit on the words. That's what you do as a professor. So let's look at these 3 natures, right? On the right side, climate in nature with all capital. That's the biosphere. That's the hard, if we want to call it a hardware. There is nothing hardware or software, but if you want to use that, that is the living biosphere, living, breathing, right? Then look at the middle one, climate in nature with the N capital and other small. I mean, that is the atmosphere that what human have created. You know this, the National Geographic, White Davis work on atmosphere. I have borrowed, I think he's right on that. Then all small letter nature, that is the ever evolving learning and leadership, what we mean, what we change. That's why we have a role. And Edward and I are basically right there taking that belief that as educators, we can change what that nature is and what that nature is and create a new nature. You see? And how we do it? Integrative, regenerative leadership from carbon to soil, soil, water to sustenance. So I will explain more later on. Next. One of the ways, this is the fifth grade children in Portland, Oregon, when they were making the garden. Look what she found. What is under our feet is more important than what is above our feet. And that is how the curriculum will be. Under our feet, more important than above our feet. But above our feet, what we can make depends upon what we do under our feet. That includes the biome, the water, the seed, the energy of the soil carbon, organic carbon, and all that. Next. Now, this is my contribution to the theory. But we need a pluri-species working together, not only human. Human can be burning itself out. This is what I'm assuming. Human can be as stupid as that. But there are pluri-species could co-create regenerative abundance in the age of climate coronaviruses by reorienting Homo sapiens sapien. We were supposed to be wise one, or we claimed ourselves, to become the beneficial member of an abundant biosphere. And for that, we could draw from all the wisdom traditions, the indigenous, the Hindu, the Jewish, the African, everybody's tradition comes into it, and our curriculum will highlight. And I have actually edited a whole book on religious traditions and sustainable agriculture as well. Next. And some of our who are important people to draw from. I have not included the pioneers right now because of, Edward, you and your other people and Kate Raworth, you have already covered that a lot. There are others. Bandana Shiva's idea of health, earth democracy and health per acre is very important. Mahatma Gandhi's idea of what is need and greed is very important. Frijab Kapra's idea of the life, wave of life, and how to continue that we can look at as a currency of life. And among, Edward, I agree with you, all these scientists, what are they trying to do? We have 50 million reports and articles on climate, but nobody has told us how to do it, what to do. But there is Paul Hacken. He is one of those intellectuals. He is not even a professor, but his heart is finding the solution. So I highly recommend Drawdown. And what he is doing, which I follow very, very closely, we need to bring that harmony between the biospheric life system and the atmospheric life system. And learning and leadership should be designed to bring that togetherness. So what we do in atmosphere does not violate the health of the biosphere. And there is also Mark Planck, which I think all of you would like. Do not measure the reality, change it. And that's where real fun is. So next. And with some of the wave of life that are disrupted, suffocated, and we need to regenerate into that flow are carbon, soil, water, climate waves, soil, food, health waves, wood-wide waves. Based on that, we could regenerate watersheds, food sheds, fiber sheds, energy sheds. And those could be weaved when we do learning and leadership waves, which I will talk later. I'm thinking about it, starting with the fourth grade, all the way to professionals and elected representatives. Next. Another way of same thing, the big nature, the atmospheric nature, and the learning nature. Next. This is what Franz and has shared already, and it is already, you already have that, like the living system and the extractive system, moving from that hit and run extractive to care, responsibility, accountability, and understanding that everything is connected. So I don't need to repeat that. Next. And this is Joy Ito that I was talking with you. He has a book and many articles, very interesting understanding. He calls that a currency of life rather than currency of money and dollar. How could we enhance the currency of life? Which I think is a good way to look at it. And that's what Christoph Capra also says that. Vandan Shiva also says that, right? All our people say that. But the word currency of life might also be useful to you talk with the business people, to the economics people. Carolina, maybe, I think you also talked about that, right, in your panel. Currency of life. Let's enrich that. Let's deepen that. Let's enhance that. Next. Now, this is the model that I'm using while designing a PhD program in a smallest college in US. It is called Southwestern College in Santa Fe. This is what I have each PhD student, and some of like Elias and Mauricio might join, and some of you and Melina might join. It starts with the diagnosis. That's the realm of the brain. Goes to the dream, and I tell people, do the wildest dream, not an ordinary dream. That's the realm of the heart. Then design. 60% of the curriculum is how to design. Realm of the gut, that umbilicus, that Agni, the fire, and the delivery, realm of the soul. All my curriculum and the program and all advising will be going, each student will go through this. So this will be at the PhD level, Edward, and then we are, you and Ubiquity, I would like to join if you invite me for the masters. And then probably the K-12 has to be so bioregionally and place specific. So we will have to innovate, help that team work on that. Anyway, so this is the how the PhD program, which will start next year in August, and about 12 people are already in my list, and we will see how many of them can really join. But anyway, so we have all the way from PhD to the 4th grade. Next. Now let's go to the Himalayas. Welcome to the Himalayas. If you had a chance to look at that video of the Annapurna base camp, because I will be doing a little more problematic. So I wanted you to enjoy. It is still there. The snow is still there. Water is still there. Forest is there. People are there. They will love to have you there. So this is the landscape. See the flower? This is the agroecological landscape. Then the mountains. That's the Annapurna on the right side that I'll still have this vivid idea. Next. Now, Nepal is very interesting in the sense that those of you from Latin America, I was astounded to be in Peru. I have visited Peru about 5 times now. What is in Peru is like, remember, from the ocean all the way to the Andes, high, and then sloping down to the Amazon. For me, that is the vertical biodiversity, almost inch by inch, feet by feet, and then horizontal diversity in the Amazon and the valleys. Exactly the same thing is in Nepal. So that is why I really want to work with Andes, Mauricio and Catherine, and also in the Colombian Andes, and probably more in Chile and Argentina, is what could we learn from each other, from these mountain systems which have hosted this kind of vertical and horizontal diversity. So this will come very much central to how to regenerate the Himalayas. Next. And again, under the feet, Himalayas are like the Andes, such diversity on everything. Fern, fig, tuber, anything grows there. And it is also perfect temperature, kind of. It's mountainous, but it's sunny and warm. Do you see? Because people, you might think, oh, it's too cold there. It actually is not. Until you are like 15,000 feet high, it is not cold because we are so far south. Do you see? We are almost parallel, like what you call same latitude or of like Florida. You see why? Everything grows there, inch by inch, like that. So one of my our partners are already working on bringing back as many tuber diversity, and you will be astounded. We can feed the whole world just by diversity of tuber. Next. Same thing, amaranth, similar to the Andes, barley, common bean, buckwheat, millets, rice. If you come there, please eat buckwheat. The Himalayan buckwheat is not like the Poland and European. It is like 100 times more nutritious, flavor, and another item that Himalaya could globalize is buckwheat pancake, buckwheat flour, buckwheat nutrition. Everything can be done. And the same kind of wild rice variety, and probably people need to know, in South Asia, we have cultivated about 500,000 varieties of rice. I know Andes is proud of 5,000 varieties of potatoes, right? We have 500,000 varieties of rice, all through the Himalayas to the Bay of Bengal, all the way south. That's what biocultural diversity is. Okay, so next. And see the river valleys, the horizontal diversity can be here. But you will soon see where the trouble is. We do not have the right relationship with the land and the water. So let's go there. Next. Look what happened. Forest is there, land is there, village is there, but landslide is there. What happened? So it is not the amount of forest. Himalayas are covered, 45% of Nepalese Himalaya, same thing in Uttar Pradesh, west of us in India. Bhutan is even more, 65% forest covered. But something is getting wrong. That's what I want to contribute. And everybody is still thinking, oh, million trees plant there, right? I am having a very deep dialogue with Florent and his team on this. It is actually the water that will make the forest and the land and the livelihood. So that's what I'm going to go next. Next. Look at this landscape, just to give you a picture of the reality, right? See that one? This is the kind of much more, not a steep slope, the first one on the left. It is right next to that Annapurna Himalaya we're talking about. This might be one of the acupressure point we're working on. The next one on the center is, see the flower? That's where Nepal became self-reliant on flour, right? And this is the extreme case of steep slope, and almost the water is the absent on the right side. Then here is a little pond that the woman is making, and there are a group of women making the flour using the water. So we need a magical mixture, magical combination. How do you regenerate this land? And let me see if my homework, I am going somewhere. I'm so glad. No Nepali has yet figured out this, unfortunately. Next. So this is what I think will keep the Nepalese in the mountains with enough livelihood, fun, no need to go to town and urban areas or overseas, and bring the whole world there for education, health and healing, and fun and adventure. This is the dream. And it can be done, Edward, by empowering 5 million Nepalese out of 28 million. Look. So, Franz, are you there? I need help in preparing 5 million Nepalese in those slopes, knowing exactly how to harvest, how to retain and how to recharge water. Everything else, look, what will the water do? Do you see? It will sequester carbon, enhance soil fertility, biochar, and other to create top 6 inches of soil. Sponge. We need that sponge, and it is there. We just lost it. We forgot it. Enhance biocultural diversity, create diverse culinary, nutritional, agro-medicinal craft economy. Come to the Himalayas 1 month, get better. Do you know this Homo Deus guy, why he's so smart? He doesn't get tired, he goes to meditation. What, 3 months a year? Come to the Himalayas. Eat that tuber, eat that fresh water, drink that fresh water, inhale that oxygen, turn floods into nutrient for farm, forest, and stabilize landslide. And I will come to the bamboo, why that is important. Integrate bamboo agroforestry, farming and gardening, create regenerative employment, livelihoods, and ecopreneurs. Carolyn is excited. Regenerative curriculum for 4th grades up to college and out of school youth. And I want to name them Annapurna Regeneration Fellows. 4th grade child is selected to learn all this while taking a degree. Okay, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and I will show you how that can be done. Prepare municipal leadership and bioregional, I want to add that, and professionals for place-based bioregional regenerative dreams and designs. If we could enrich this cycle of regeneration, but based on water, my dear sir, because once you have the water, and I will show you technologies how you can do it, you create that microclimate and forest will just come there. Medicinal plants will appear there. We might have to put 1 or 2 here. And for this, I have written an article, if you want to, it's online. Just type my name, how can 4 trees make a jungle? But what we need is the moisture, that the water from the mountain, because it's vertical, should not be running fast. It should be chatting with you, slowly, dancing with you. And we have technologies. I will show you who. One of them is Sepp Holger from Austria. Do you know his series of water ponds? And he did that for Tamara also. Pani Foundation in India is now completely regenerating all the desert habitats. Excellent work. Pani Foundation. Same thing, we have permaculture people, like the David Holmgren and Geoff. And I know all of them. I have talked to, seen their project. Chinampa system technologies. The Acequia system can be used. The Balinese rice terraces can be reactivated. Chinese, Nepalese, Indian rice terrace technologies. So we're going to do a much more comprehensive borrowing and synthesizing technologies to make this water, the rainwater and the moisture and the cloud. Here we want to distinguish between the blue water and the green water and the atmospheric water. And the Himalayas are, and the Andes also, I observed, are the best place to understand the role of atmospheric water, the dew, the moisture, do you see? And the green water that is in your soil, in the organic matter, in soil carbon. Somehow, I have been really working on this for a while because we are so colonized by developmental idea, right? Oh, plant trees and it will happen. No, we already planted trees. It's not happening. We are having landslide. We are having flood from the middle of the national forest. So something is wrong. I think it is the water. We miss the right relationship what water has with the rest of the drama, the soil, the carbon, the moisture, the forest, the birds, the tubers, the biodiversity, people's livelihood, everything is there. So, next. This is what will happen if we know what to do with water. This is our tradition. We already know how to live on the soil. But missing ingredient is water and out migration because of not being able to generate. And but the good thing is now everywhere in Nepal, road have been connected. But that means market will come. Market, you can take it to the market. But that same road was built by destroying the waterways, unfortunately. So we need to work on that. And several sites we have identified where we will repair, redesign that road so the water springs come back rather than disappear. Next. Then we can think about the biocultural diversities of the seeds, the soil. So basically now I want to introduce a new vocabulary. In the repertoire of diversity, we only also need water diversity. The atmospheric water, the green water, the blue water, the water in the forest, in the tree, water in the carbon, water in the soil, everywhere water. So water diversity, if you want to take a keyword, water diversity. What is that? Where is it? Okay. Next. And the temperature, the role of the temperature, why we are needing this extra effort to regenerate water and forest and soil carbon and medicinal plant. Look at the drama. And we are, unfortunately, we have to do it after it is almost in a crisis level. But if we can find a way to create these fellows and prepare them from 4th grade up to the PhD and make them the ecopreneurs of regeneration, we can turn this around. And that is also the conclusion of Paul Hucken. Sure. Next. It explains the blue water, the green water, and the atmospheric water. So basically our very simple permaculture, let water walk, soak and dance and chat with you rather than run down the hill angry and furious. That's all, as simple as that. Okay. So yes, this is another way of I'm looking at it. How will it generate then the sociological aspects, the economic aspects, and the ecological? So I have used the metaphor of household. See, the socio-ecological household, that's the basis of biodiversity, soil diversity, water diversity, right? Then, based on that wealth, we can do social mobilization, regenerative leadership, learning among children and youth, leaders of, as I said. That's the socio-economic household. And here is economic, ecological household, the new kind of conservation economy, regenerative economy. So basically, rather than Pramod having to come to Stanford and be in exile, let everybody come there 2 months a year. Do you see? And how interesting, nobody has ever thought this way because we are blinded by this nonsense idea of development, even sustainability, laughable idea. How poor is our imagination? Sometimes I go like, and I myself could not quite figure this out, and now I think I did. I think I did. Very interesting. It took some effort because I had to say no to many models, Caroline. This is how you go to the truth. You see, in our Hindu system, we say you have to say 100 no's to find the 101 right. I have to do a lot. Last 6 months, I'm really working on this. Like, why is Nepal depleting? What happened? And I think we found why. So next. So water is a verb. We need to change our framework. It's not a noun. If it was a noun, we would say, give me more, then better, right? No. We need to know how water dances, where it originates, where it grows, what is its biome, what is its biosphere? How does it interact with the seed, with the tree, with the plant, with the pollinator, with the carbon. And then we could use water as a way to sequestering carbon for the soil and plants where they should have been. And water also can retain that carbon dioxide. Rather than going up, it will go where it should be. And for that, we have another element, bamboo and biochar. I think we are going there. Next. Imagine this. Now, Nepal is like this too. Look, pure agroecological utopia right there. We need some rearrangement because of the climate and the temperature of being more smart on water storage, water harvest, water retention, and water reach, even in these kind of valleys. And if you probably, some of you are aware that in Europe now they have set aside, like in Norway and Netherlands, France, Germany, they have set a particular what they call it, agriculturally important valleys, bioregions. We have in Nepal, we and rest of the Himalayas, we could identify, and there create these acupressure acupuncture points. Next. Then the agriculture based on that abundance of biomass and biodiversity. Next. Next, these are all other examples of water harvest. Next, because I want to go to the bamboo and permaculture design. See how much the role of water on permaculture design. Australia, California. Now let's go to the bamboo. Bamboo is a grass, abundant everywhere. If you have a moisture, bamboo will grow. You don't even have to plant it. And look what bamboo could do in the Himalayan landscape. It's native grass. It's everywhere. And we have not learned how to use it at an optimal level to address all these problems that we talked about. It is a carbon sequester. It will draw down the temperature. It is a
I think we lost Pramod.
I was afraid it was me, but no, I think, yeah.
Edward, I could reach him on the WhatsApp and maybe I can put him on a speaker. Is that an idea?
Yeah.
Let me try. No, nothing here.
The the second part of the session was aimed at having a discussion with France about seeds and how people can actually harvest seeds from the global network for regenerative projects. So maybe France, while you wait in case Pramod can reconnect, maybe we start with that part and then we hop back to Pramod when he connects so we don't lose the time.
Sounds
that
good.
okay?
Yeah, that works well with me. Yeah, and it's quite fitting. Then we can cover maybe Nepal and also go deeper into the things we're doing with Costa Rica, for also as an example. Um, from my side, this has been a beautiful presentation and fully aligned with the regenerative vision that Seeds has in mind, and also all the citizens of Seeds, of course, and that same holistic worldview that we all want to support, and that is fully aligned with the activities that the Seeds economy is here to support, as we are all about financing the transition towards a new economy. Because one of the things that is present is that, you know, all of this market failures of anthropogenic proportions, whether we think about biodiversity or cultural loss, come from the aspect that we have built our civilization on a financial system built on scarcity, which makes us poorer as we speak in all forms of capital. So the idea for this session was to really talk with Pramod about how he could implement Seeds to reward the people who are contributing to this vision of a more integral and regenerative development process. And essentially there's many ways to do that. So how we work as Seeds is that one can create a proposal. So for example, it would be very interesting for us with Pramod to really go into detail about one of these elements that he's wanting to achieve in Nepal or in the other work that he does in the Annapurna pluriversities, and identify where are the value exchanges in each of these elements. So by value exchanges, I mean, for example, contributing to planting more regenerative food, contributing to grow bamboo, contributing to utilize biochar. All of the things that are serving the whole and not just an extractive financial system are ways where we can introduce rewards for regeneration or economical incentives. So for example, one of the models that we are exploring to make things very easily and streamlined is, for example, a universal earned income. So for example, all the fellows that he's mentioning that would be a key role into creating this, we would be able to define a sort of a universal earned income per lunar cycle or per month to reward those contributions. Other elements of how we're doing it in other bioregions, for example, in Guatemala, to promote regenerative agriculture is where we are training right now indigenous leaders who understand the importance of the natural plants or ancestral plants, for example, medicinal plants or food seeds that actually are beneficial to water, to carbon sequestration, and to understand also the importance of diversity. So one of the things that we're doing there is we're creating, for example, games in which you have a role of a person who goes around the community and gives rewards to the subsistence farmers based on how much they are contributing or transitioning towards a more of a regenerative approach. And every bioregion can design their own rewards and can design their own needs for that specific area, specific needs based on the water diversity needs, as Professor Pramod was mentioning, or based on the needs for resilience in terms of food sovereignty. And for example, then this person, who we call it as a role of a cross-pollinator, is essentially going to each of these agriculture lots and providing families with economical incentives for transitioning towards a more regenerative approach. That would be one model that I would see working here very well. At the same time, I also noticed that he has a very powerful node in terms of education, which is precisely what a lot of these communities need to kind of figure out the ways to bring this whole systems education, but doing it in a way that we can incentivize that economically, so that the people who are contributing to this regenerative effort are incentivized to do so. So kind of create that culture where, as we've been used to be molded by our wherever our financial incentives, we can really come in as a new currency and incentivize all of these important things for all the community that are currently in market failures, whether that is water, whether that is regenerative food, whether that is regenerative education or regenerative energy, which are in our current financial system not profitable at all. In the seeds financial system, they are not only profitable, but they are also, in terms of impact to the land or the water or society, extremely of benefit, as we all know here. When it comes also to how the financial systems are awarded, it's as simply as I don't know if you guys have already the passport, the global passport, but it's digital money, similar to what you would imagine with PayPal or Visa, with the only difference that instead of charging fees or being charged fees for the privilege of using your own money, in the seeds economy, you are able to transfer digital money anywhere in the world under a fraction of a second with absolutely no fees. And instead of charging you fees, seeds rewards you for its use. So it's also allowing us to, for the first time, transition into this P2P economy, which we can also build a whole bunch of different platforms or technologies for exchanging these goods or services that are produced by these communities around the world, which usually didn't have access to these marketplaces. But now with the seeds economy, we're able to provide, for example, different platforms. Right now, from our greater community, there's a lot of teams that are working on, for example, P2P food networks for exchanging this locally regeneratively produced food that now you can exchange from peer to peer without having any fees. And in addition, let me log in with my mobile phone so that you guys can see the interface of how this would work. I think that might be useful.
We have Pramod listening.
Okay, fantastic.
So I don't know if Pramod wants to say something or just wait till Franz finishes.
Edward,
Yes.
you use this phone when you are ready, and I will just go. Well, I'm very near the end, so just a little bit of learning that slides and about that slide. Then we can. So whenever you are ready, I will just go to the slide and then just talk very shortly on each of them. Then we will have a general discussion. How about that?
Okay, good. Maybe we give Franz another couple minutes to show the app, and then we go back to you, Pramod. Is that okay?
Yes.
So this is the app. 1 second, and let me mute myself from my phone. Otherwise, I'm hearing myself twice. Here you see the. Wait, I still hear me? And there, here you see them. Wait, I still hear me. There. Okay, here you see the wallet, which essentially is where you can transfer value anywhere in the planet. So that means I could right now transfer value to Edward in Costa Rica, or I could transfer value to a regenerative agriculturalist in Nepal, as long as he has access to internet or a smartphone. So for example, we could create a program where the fellowships could be receiving a universal earned income for contributing their labor or their efforts towards this regenerative vision that Pramod is mentioning. And it works simply as you could transfer any funds that you can imagine. So you have your recipient, you select who you're sending money to, and you select the amount of seeds, and they receive it in a fraction of a second with absolutely no costs. Additionally, the important thing of this is the co-op section that you see on the bottom. This is where we are right now receiving projects from all over the planet that are requesting capital to kickstart these regenerative visions all over the planet. And that would also be something that we would have to do with Pramod, essentially identify what are the amount of people that we would be regenerating and we would be rewarding, and for what regenerative practices. It would be advisable to start, for example, with a one acupuncture point, for example, and also with a specific area. And as we kind of prove the concept of how it works, we can continue expanding to different levels. And the way that Seeds works is essentially, as you gain trust in the system, you can continue requesting more seeds to do that work that you want. And for example, here is a project for using seeds as a local currency for Vilcabamba in Ecuador. And so then the community here is requesting seeds to be able to kickstart a regenerative economy within this pueblo of Ecuadorians, which includes a lot of work with regenerative agriculture, biodynamic agriculture, and also they have a biodynamics training ground where people are being trained biodynamic agriculture. And as they are educated and trained, their idea is to hire immediately this regenerative agriculturists and start creating regenerative produce, which through the marketplace they're able to sell at a bigger premium because it's higher in quality. And as they do that, they essentially come up with a medium of exchange that is growing in value more than the local currency and is right now reaching or aimed to reach and surpass the value of the US dollar. So what we're doing essentially is providing an explosion of abundance to precisely the people who are contributing to a healthier soil, to a healthier water, and to a healthier society. And as we do this across the world, we're also all helping to grow the value of this currency, which makes it even more exciting. Here, just to mention some parallels with what Pramod is doing, they're also working with organic farmers market, creating community gardens, creating a community food bank, and also the reforestation to limit landslides, as he also has in Nepal. And these guys specifically are asking, for example, 600,000 seeds. And they have also the different ways that they're utilizing this. So that would be very important to also define in terms of Pramod's work in Nepal or other acupuncture points. And essentially, it's not I or it's not Edward or it's not Pramod who chooses who gets the funds. It's the citizen of Seeds. So here you can see essentially how the voting process works, where I have already used my trust tokens this month. So you can see on top, you see I have 0 trust tokens remaining, but essentially every citizen of Seed is able to choose where the value of seeds is growing across the planet, and therefore have a more decentralized governance in terms of where our value as a community goes towards. So that would be one way to approach what Pramod is suggesting. another angle that perhaps is a bit premature to mention, but what we're also doing is to provide liquidity to these communities, meaning that, for example, in this example of Cabamba, Ecuador, that there's some things that the seeds economy still cannot buy, for example, fuel or these other things. And another level that we're adding to this right now is that in every bioregion, we're finding also people who are interested to buy back seeds from the community. And they have the incentives to buy back seeds because they know that the value of seeds is growing. So it's also for them as a mean to invest in this new economy. So in Nepal or in Annapurna, it would be very interesting to also find or create even a trust where we can bring in capital locally or externally and have local fiat be a backing up of the seeds economy on the bioregions, which is what provides then liquidity to these farmers and also helps to facilitate the transition. So kind of build that trust, which is required, especially in this early stages of the seeds economy. And that's also a longer conversation to have, but just to mention to Pramod and everyone here that we are working also where we are. One of the reasons I was last week in Stockholm is right now we're raising an earth bond to be serving as a backup to the economy of seeds all around the world. And that's also a project that is undergoing. So essentially right now what we're asking the world is to simply trust on seeds, use this as a medium of exchange, and somewhere along the line, this will be then backed up. And essentially what we're able to do is sit on top of degenerative money and transmute it into regenerative money. And that's the way we can really accelerate this regenerative vision that is absolutely ready to be born out of all of us. So yeah, with that note, that's what I just wanted to mention and as a brief example. I know that Pramod, I think, is hearing still, but I will pass it back to him in case there's any questions or he wants to continue his presentation.
Pramod,
Great.
yeah, so
Yes.
France is finished and now we can pass it back to you.
Yes. To have Fernando put that I put
Can't hear you very much, Pramod, but if you would have already the application, I would be able you to transfer right now, say the $1,000 that you had mentioned in last week's call.
one. Okay. Yeah, we might have to wait for that, but yes, we will do an idea a little more detail. Fine. So we can now go back to the slide.
I don't know how the sound is, guys.
Carolina, can you put it closer to your mic?
Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this, so tell me where the mic is. Is it in front of the video?
It should be a little hole in somewhere in your computer screen, or
I have a Mac. Does anybody know MacBook Air?
Usually on top of the screen, there should be a little opening.
Yeah, well.
And if Pramod can speak at the same time, then we can also gauge where the sound quality is best. So
Okay. So can you go, Pramod?
Fernanda would open that.
yeah, Fernanda, can you open the presentation where it was left off?
And Pramod, if you can really talk to the mic of the phone, I think we're hearing a bit better before. A little bit, even closer would be good.
Oh, okay. Better now.
Okay, let's give it a try.
So basically, what we are fortunate in the Himalayas, is that better, Carolina?
Is that better, guys?
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah, go on. And everybody else, if you can mute your mics, that can also help. Okay, yeah, sorry, Pramod. Let's give it a try again.
What we have amazing thing in the Himalayas, we have one of the best bamboo architects who is core part of our team, and he has also some example of planting bamboo to take care of the flood right next to his workshop. So we want to scale that up to the whole bioregion. We are experimenting, piloting this particular bioregion where the Annapurna is, but then we're also initiating other parts of Nepal, 3, 4 other bioregions, and then we're in dialogue with Indian Himalayan people, Bhutanese, Chinese, who will be presenting Chinese situation, Chinese part of the Himalayas. Anyway, we want to hold Hindukush Himalaya that has Nepal will be
We can go to the next one, and if we can ask Alejandro to mute his mic. Thank you.
So this is another way. Look how the Nepalese are very fun-loving people. This is how we make a swing out of all bamboo. Bamboo has that kind of like flexibility. So we make a swing in this period of the month of the year, exactly in November. We just go up in the sky, all raw material is biomass based, nothing, not even a clip, anything. Everything is made, wrapped up. The thread is made in a biomass, and here is the bamboo. And you can see how much bamboo complements what we are talking about, the soil carbon, the economy, livelihood, and then it dissolves into everything bamboo has is used for all purposes. So bamboo is rated as a 35 in Solhagan drawdown. It's their calculation of its importance to draw the temperature down. In Nepal and the Himalayas, it might come to top 3. This is what I'm anticipating, because it really has that push and it grows everywhere. And we have particular kind of bamboo that if we want to not spray too much, we have that kind of bamboo also. There are about 145 varieties of bamboos in the Himalayas, and we can just probably cover 35% of the whole regenerative economy based on bamboo. But it complements the other elements of the water, the soil, the biodiversity, agroforestry, rice, and all that. Okay, next. So that's what I call it, the bamboo biodiversity. It is food, it is timber, it is green, it is paper, it is medicine, and it integrates with everything we have in the Himalayas. Next. So this is the extreme high altitude, and now imagine bamboo could even be there, but with some agro-medicinals and mushrooms. And Apsagumba, have you heard about Apsagumba? That's a very special kind of fungus, and bamboo could even be here, particular kind of bamboo, and then agro-medicinals, pasture, agro-pastoralism can be supported, and you are right there in the Himalayas. Next. Now I think the element of biochar might really be helpful in retaining water, sequestering carbon, enriching soil, and I have done that work in Peru. And what it has done in Peru, next slide, and do you see a comparative of the biochar soil, how it retains water, biochar or carbon sink. That's what we can very well integrate it, and we have technology available there. We just have to support, and that person is like the bamboo person, that biochar expert, technician who can really make biochar, knows about the dynamic of it, is in our team. So, so this is another way of looking at the biochar. I don't know how many of you use biochar in a depleted soil conditions. I highly recommend it. It is one of the enablers, and it is nothing but an enabler. It activates other elements of, of the soil and the biome. Next. This is another way of looking at it. Biochar application would accelerate, see the afforestation, biomass energy, carbon dioxide. So we might be also accelerating, enhancing, enriching this cycle. Next. And again, biochar all through the soil, moisture, water, vegetation, air, fire, seed, crop, health. It fits very well. The water, biochar, and bamboo all can be supplementing each other and enhancing function. Next. Now let's go to the learning garden. This is where once we have those other biological processes right, now let's come to the learning and leadership aspect. And this is very solid experience and expertise I bring into the curriculum design. This we started in 2003 in Portland, Oregon, and then I have done this in Peru as well as a little bit in Kenya, a little bit in Nepal. But this probably is time to scale it up to all the school systems and out of school youth also. We can integrate them into it. Next. The promise of learning gardens, and now let's include water gardens, medicinal gardens, forest gardens, not only just vegetable gardens. You know Wendell Berry, right? Most of you have read him, inspired by him. I am one of his great readers. So Wendell Berry at one point said that eating is an agricultural act, like he's trying to lead people to more ethical consumption, connect with the soil, the farmer, like. Now I extrapolate that for this purpose. Agriculture is an ecological act. Ecology is a pedagogical act, and I am one of the most effective person on this. And even Christoph Capra recognizes that I have extra something more than he and his team in Berkeley do, because we talk about edible part because of the shape up there. I am an educator, so I turned it around. So ecology could be pedagogical act, yet we discussed between the soil and the water and the biome and all this, and that could be transformational act. And in Portland, Oregon, and now almost all over, this idea has taken up. And we have to think about all the way from seed and soil, all the way to basically work on the seed and soil of the biospheric biome and bring it to the human biome. That circle. And again, we can illuminate all the connection between, remember those waves up, and that have been disrupted: soil, water, carbon, climate, soil, water, food, food, nutrition, health, food wide waves, climate, food democracy waves, on and on. And it requires, not every teacher knows this, how to do it. So people like me and I have a whole team who will work with teachers how to integrate these activities in the learning garden, water garden, forest garden, medicinal gardens into their curriculum. So children learn those topics, like let's say photosynthesis, right? How difficult it is to understand photosynthesis. But a child, if he is growing her one garden and a plant, she will understand that without any effort. So look at that. While she's having fun. And I have all kinds of stories of how children learn all subjects, most difficult subjects in the garden. Next. And inspired by what we did, each teacher, she is the fourth grade teacher in one of the schools, look, they have their own school garden, and it is their classroom. They go there, they test it, they look at the pollinator, they look at photosynthesis, they look at flowering, on and on and on. And then we system where we do use the garden, helping the teacher how to connect her topic of that week based on the activity in the garden. Next. And what this is the soil preparation, see, planting lesson. Look how they are now doing geometry, space, and the left, right? The teacher is helping the children. Before they go into that bed, making the garden bed, they are already planning spacing what cucumber will be, where the cabbage will be, where the tomato will be, where the marigold will be, which are the companion plants, who should go together, why, everything can be done. And all about the soil, all about the seed. And we bring them to a little shade and informal lesson on that particular theme of that week. This is how it goes. It's very sustaining. And what we do is we increase complexity as they go from 4th grade to the 5th to the 6th to the 7th. And by 9th grade, you can imagine they will be mapping a food economy for a bioregion. Or someone will look at the farmer's market, economy of exchange, on and on. Next. It's just another way of looking at it. This is one of the pictures I have from Brazilian permaculture design. See, rather than square or circles and circulating energy and flow intersections, regenerative style. Some of these will be brought into the learning water, forest, and medicinal garden. Next. And we can extend it to the understanding from soil all the way to supper, as we saw, food to the food chain, water to water chain, fiber to fiber chain, consumer to responsible citizenship, prosumer, food economy, water economy. Now think about it. By the 6th grade, we could just enhance the complexity level according to their age, according to the textbook, according to the curriculum. Basically, based on Portland experience, what I find is about 45% of the time, energy of the teachers and will be spent on learning what is in the curriculum. 55 will be in addition, extra. While they are excelling on all those exams, and they will be developing leadership, connection, working together. They will be so much prepared for creating, starting a regenerative economy even by the 9th grade if we teach it this way. So there are amazing advantages while excelling on their academic. That way the parents are happy, right? You got A+, but we are happy because we are now creating a region economy while they are learning their requirements. And some of the examples of like photosynthesis, pollination, composing plants, combining water-wise plants and gardens, mapping food set, on and on. Next. And we can now move towards the food system, and that can be brought by about 6th grade, 7th, 8th. Again, we will train the teachers how to use their curriculum and connect this activity. And then in a complexity is 10th grade projects, then go to the 8th at another level. Next. And here is our edible garden, Sepanij. I will remember her name. She is one of the big inspirations. She's using the kitchen. So just like there is learning to garden, gardening to learn, we can also do cooking to learn. So one of my advices, PhD advices, have done that curriculum very well in Parajuli, University of Parajuli, by the way. Remember who wrote The Democracy and Its Done? He actually was teaching people people gardening and you know. And right on that department, my student did her research on how people learn how to cook with their undergraduate students. And they learn how to cook and they cook how to learn. So this can also be enhanced. Next. And just I want to close this idea. In 2010, 10 years ago, I took 9 Prescott College undergraduates to Nepal. We went through up the hill, and here they are interacting with a female farmer. Up the hill, probably 5,000 feet high, right by the Annapurna. And our hope is not only to create living learning laboratories for Nepali youth, children, professionals, leaders, educators, but also attract people from all over. So I want to end there, and there is time. Let's chat, let's discuss, branch. I heard some of your things, but we could hear again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pramod. That was very interesting. A beautiful holistic vision. We're kind of out of time, but we still can do probably a couple of questions or comments. So I open the floor to anybody who wants to say something.
Just a quick comment from my side. Yeah, I would love to continue the conversation, Pramod, and feel free to reach out and we can set up a call to dive deeper and kind of wrap the project together in some concrete next steps and then provide you a seed fund to start the regenerative work that you are envisioning. So definitely count on me for that. And thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Some windows of time this weekend,
I couldn't hear you very well, but I think it's easier if we just program it via email as well. So I think that would be the most efficient way to program something.
Anybody else?
I just want to say hello, and I can't wait to see those mountains in person with you all. Thank you so very much. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. So good to hear you.
Before we close also, like, you know, in the participants, you can raise your hand. So if you want to, if you don't have a SITS account and you need an invitation, you can just raise your hand as a participant here and I will see it on the list and I will make sure that we send you an invitation to open an account on SITS.
I'm so glad to see the seeds thing finally happening. Franz and I have been talking about it for a year, maybe. And sometimes it's not easy to transition to the third horizon that quickly. But we're finally doing it. I think it's the best timing ever. And I'm totally convinced that within a year, we have a totally different perspective of how regeneration is going to happen. So thank you, Franz, for pushing this, and your team. I mean, you've been amazing, creative, full of energy, moving this whole thing forward and really impacting the way the world is going to look very, very, very soon. Thank you. Anybody else? Last chance. Dear Wise Earth, please. As is a clap.
I wanted to clap halfway through the presentation and stand up and do a standing ovation. Thank you so much for, I feel we're a giant brain and we're all different neurons of the same brain. And suddenly we think, oh my God, I've been thinking and working on the same thing. And it's not a coincidence, it's that we're one massive brain. I'm here in Mexico and I'm working on something same as all of us. And from this front, I'm pondering the questions that we've been presented today, so many answers. So thank you so much. It's I'm very inspired, and I was telling right now Franz on the private chat also about the. I'm very happy to hear about the step on creating the trust fund for buying back seeds. That is very powerful. It makes it so much more feasible. And I can already see some people interested here where I am on creating that sort of participating from that front. I think that's the type of allies that it's also important to have for the transition. It's a great step. Thank you very much, Franz, and everyone else. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's do it. Look forward to that.
Well, so we wrapped another session, and I'm so grateful to all of you for participating in this webinar series. Some with more constant participation, others a little bit more erratic. But at the end, I think this has been one of the most amazing programs I've ever set up. And I didn't expect we'd have such a positive outcome as we go along. This has been an amazing journey. And I look forward to, according to Fernanda, March. So I don't think anybody's regretting that we have all these additional sessions coming in. So thank you all, and see you next Thursday.